We're live.
I'm Action.
And I'm Set. And here's our Viscose Company 6 Memories video, Part 2. Like the Nickel Plate Road and the Paramark Cat 1225, this is a Part 2 video because we did a Memories video last year. So picking up from 2017 with the Viscose 6. This year, I knew I wasn't going to see the 6 as much as what I had seen it in other years, but, well, I did have my fair amount of good chases with it. So this year for the 6, things were a little different. The excursions were still the same, October to December, with the Buffalo, Cattaraugus, and Jamestown Scenic Railway. But they had a different variety of excursions. The first excursions this year were fall excursions on the same weekend as the Reading and Northern 425 fall foliage opening. And the 6 this year, instead of starting from Zittles going to the 18-mile creek and back, would actually go from the depot in Hamburg to the depot in Eden. There was a little switcher there, the Buffalo Southern 29, that would pull the train up about maybe 50 feet so the 6 could couple to the back of the train, then it would decouple and the 6 would pull the train back to Hamburg, which I thought was great for fall foliage trips because the 6 went south into Eden and this time it was facing southbound, which made for better light. I only got to chase 2 trips because of the 425 and because I had a commitment that morning. And that weekend the 6 was wearing a B&O single chime, which is basically a Baltimore and Ohio Railroad hooter. And I thought the chase that weekend was great. I wish I could have had a little more time with that. 2 weekends after that was when they did Halloween trips, and well, you knew where I was, chasing the Tennessee Valley Somerville trips with the 4501 and the doubleheader with the 630 and the 4501. And so I completely missed the Halloween trips, but I understand it was basically just a repeat of the Zittles trips, just with a 2-hour layover at Zittles for people to pick up pumpkins, but they also used a brand new diesel, which I understand is owned by the Buffalo, Cattaraugus, and Jamestown Scenic Railway. So the next chance for us to see the 6 was actually Action joining on as well too. And that was when the Viscose Company 6 pulled Veterans Day excursions. In 2017, the Veterans Day weekend excursions was our best Viscose Company 6 chase, and I think I could say the same in 2018. This year was wearing Apollo 3 chime and it went all the way to North Collins, and the 6 put on a great show climbing some grades. I got some shots I'd never gotten to the 6 before, and I got a lot of great shots, and I'm sure Action here, who only joined on for the 2 p.m. trip, can tell you how the light came out that day, and the light with the snow was just perfect.
The light was absolutely fantastic. I think I got one shot of it coming across the field, just absolutely billowing smoke, and it just looked absolutely fantastic. 2
best shots that weekend. Strategy was stolen by the bridge shot Action got of the 6 doing a midi boiler blowdown, and the 6 climbing up the last grade as its way up to North Collins. The snow that weekend made it look like a winter wonderland for both days, but it was just another great time with the 6. So moving forward past the Veterans Day weekend excursions, I went out to chase 1225 for a North Pole Express, and I went out to go chase the Central Railroad of New Jersey 113. And so that crossed off another 6 excursion I would miss, and another morning commitment would only leave me with the 2 afternoon excursions of the first weekend. And this year there was a little bit more of a chase with the 6 because it went all the way past Hitchcock Road and into Eden onto the second trestle. But 6 the first weekend had her usual whistle on, and once again it reminded me of a late fall weekend. So how did the second weekend fare? I rode in an open air car. Probably one of the most intense open air car rides I could do. Obviously not as intense as riding behind the 765 during the Joliet Rocket going 60 miles an hour. But it was freezing and it probably felt just as crazy. But with that being said, the 6 had a guest whistle on that weekend. A Hancock 3-chime replica whistle, which at one point was worn by the 1225. And during an unfortunate incident during the second last run of the 2018 season of the Buffalo, Cattaraugus, and Jamestown Scenic Railway, that Hancock 3-chime actually fell off the locomotive. And I know the 2 people that own that whistle very well, and they are both looking at ways to repair the whistle so it can go back on the 6 at a later date. But actually, why don't you chime in about the Christmas excursions this year?
Yeah, the Christmas excursions I think went pretty well. I was only there for one of the Sundays. Ironically, the Sunday where the whistle fell off. And I think you can actually see it in the video, I want to say.
Yeah, you could see when I set back up at the station, you can actually see the whistle laying against the bell, which is why the bell couldn't be used and they had to use an air horn.
Yeah, I was driving back to the station and I heard the air horn and thought, wait, how come they're not using the whistle?
And actually,
which is when I found out that the whistle fell off.
And actually, ironically, I did say something to the engineer that I wanted to hear the air horn because I never heard the air horn on the 6 before and thought it would be cool to at least get it recorded.
And we got it recorded.
Just not in the way we would have liked to have heard the air horn, because that Hancock 3 chime was possibly the best whistle I've ever heard on the 6.
It did sound very well. I did like that whistle.
It didn't sound anything like the 611, which it's supposed to be a replica of, but again, it is a replica, not an original whistle.
But it still had kind of the same deepish tone to it.
Yes, it had that steamboat whistle, which was great because basically the last 2 Christmas excursions I chased this year, both locomotives had a steamboat whistle, 113 and the 6. Going into 2019, I'm sure we'll still be seeing the 6 at some point this year. And yeah, so you could always expect, well, I say that and then something will happen, but you could probably mostly expect
Don't jinx
the 6.
us.
So, anyhow,
I'm action.
I'm set.